Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind, Body, Spirit on the Back to Us radio network. It's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday, May 11th, 2014. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and also all the mother figures tuning in. We are two men of trans experience. We're sharing the lessons we've learned in our lives, and we hope to empower everybody that's listening. My name is May11. Some people know me as an entrepreneur, some as a speaker, some as a life coach or spiritual leader, and some as the author of my coming up book, Right Mind, Wrong Body. You can find out more about me at neosanja.com. My co-host today is Mr. Jody Rose Helfand, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Hey, Jody.
Hey there, how you doing? My name is Jody Rose Helfand, and I am really happy to be here tonight. I'm excited about the show. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. I am also a speaker. I'm a professor and an author. And my second book, Transforming Yourself, is coming out at the end of June. And it's about transforming your body, mind, and spirit, which relates to this radio show that we're doing.
Right.
So I think today we're going to be talking about sex, a wonderful topic.
Yes. A controversial but very important topic.
Yeah. And it's definitely something we want to know more about as a population and discover and really be honest about. And that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it in a really honest way.
Right.
Yeah. So, we've been friends for a while, you and I, and we have really honest conversations. That's one of the things I appreciate about our friendship. And today, we're just going to continue that conversation. And we can talk a little bit about it. And I know that usually when we talk, you and I, we ask each other questions, and then we go back and forth. And I was just thinking we would do that today, talk a little bit about this topic the way that we would just do normally, and ask each other some questions about sex, and there are different topics to talk about concerning our transition, and so if we go on talking about mind, body, and spirit, why don't we just start with our mind and sex? Because our minds can really interfere sometimes in our sex life. Would you agree with that?
That is true, all the time, actually, yes.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say that when we transition, our mind can get in the way sometimes of, when we get naked or when we start becoming intimate with somebody. I know it has gotten in the way when I first started transitioning of my sex life. I was definitely preoccupied with certain thoughts or different thoughts about my body or how my partner would view my body, if my body would be accepted, things like that. Have you ever had any kind of experience like that? Has your mind ever interfered, in your sex life, maybe before transition, if that happened, what did you do to get over that?
Right. Well, before transition, it's really, it hasn't been that long ago, but it feels like it was forever. But I can still feel the disconnect between my mind and my body sexually. Sex at the time, of course, it didn't mean much to me as much as it did now. Well, it did, I guess, on a shallow level, not as deep, as important as it means today. Before, since we're talking about the mind, I wasn't emotionally connected to myself first, sexually, but also to the person that I would have sex with. I wasn't emotionally connected, for one, because of the dysphoria, because I didn't feel like I was in the body that I wanted to be, and I wasn't sure if they would be attracted to me. I would ask a lot of I would have a lot of self-talk, I guess, during sex, and I didn't want to be attached. I don't know if you know this about me, but I've only been in one long-term relationship before my current relationship, which lasted almost 5 years. But before that, I had just made up my mind that I wasn't going to be in a relationship with anybody before, and this is before I knew I was trans, just because I just felt like nobody can ever really understand me, and I had a lot of dysphoria. But now, when I started transitioning, it actually got worse, because the more, I guess, I quote-unquote passed, the more I worried about the expectations that I would have in bed, because I started transitioning, medical transitioning when I was single, and I was worried that whoever I meet is not really going to be, their expectations and my expectations, and if I will please them. And so logically, my mind and sex, I had a lot of fear, let's just say that. I had a lot of fear when it came to my mind and sexuality. I've always been a very sexual person, but it was not a love-based emotion. It was more of fear-based and just pleasure-seeking, because, of course, my sex drive went up. But now I feel completely connected to my partner. I feel connected emotionally and logically. Everything clicks, because I don't have to ask any questions and all this stuff. What about you? How has your transition been mentally, I guess, in your mind? Mentally, how has your transition been as far as your sex life goes?
Well, in the beginning, I always had thoughts of, I don't have a genetic penis, and I wasn't going to get the bottom surgery because I made that decision. And sometimes, for being really candid, I would wonder if my partner could feel it inside, or, I had, my mind would get in the way of the constructed belief that I had to have a penis in order to have sex the correct way or the right way. It was a constructed way of thinking, and in my opinion, it was, you can either stay in that misery or you can get out of that misery. You can either. So I decided to get out of it, and the way that I got out of it was recognizing that all of that was canned, conditioned thinking, and all of that was constructed thinking. That was all an illusion of what the quote-unquote right way to have sex was. It was all brainwashing. I was brainwashed. And so I unlearned it with my mind, and then I went into my heart, creating the truth, which is really there is no right way to have sex. To me, sex is about energy anyway, and energy connections. So when I was younger, I didn't know that, but then as I started exploring and figuring out how to solve this, I realized it's just about the energy. It's not about genitalia, body parts, none of that kind of stuff. It's two souls connecting. And, it's easy to say that, but the way that you can actually get over that is by unlearning and then re-emerging with the truth. And the way I did that myself was to create affirmations. And in the FTM Sex Guide that we have on the FTM Fitness site, there's a part in there that talks about all the things that you can say, all the affirmations, like, one of the biggest things, that helped me was admitting the truth first. I admitted the truth of how I felt, and that released it, and then it changed my belief system by saying things like, my body is beautiful, my partner loves my body, things like, what I have is enough. There's all kinds of things that you can say. So that was my experience. And what about during, for you, anything come up during transition or after transition? Any of these issues?
Well, like I already said, before, the dysphoria, during the transition, it got worse because I was single and I was re-navigating the dating life. But after it was, now, I guess I won't say after because I'm still alive, but now it's I'm more connected. But I know you mentioned when you were talking about the FTM Sex Guide, and what are some things for you, like physically, as far as your body goes? What are some things for you that you felt were different before and then during your transition, and what are some steps that you've taken now to have a healthier and happier sex life?
Physically, after I sort of got over that mind problem, issue, language, these kinds of things, the physical, what I did for myself was, as far as a penis is concerned, I created the FTM cock workout for my, I created a cock workout for my cock. That's what I did. And my body was an experiment, okay? So I worked it out, and it was a 3-minute workout 5 times a week. So it was similar to going to the gym, except, it's your cock, right? So it worked. And then I sent to 5 of my friends to experiment to see if it works for them, and it worked for all of them. So that's one thing that I did. And all it is a series of these exercises. It took me a really long time to develop that 3-minute video because some things worked and some things didn't and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, I go to the gym and I've always lifted weights, and all that does help, But I think really having a healthy sex life really begins in the heart, and really understanding that you're with someone who loves your body, and not letting the ego mind and what the thoughts that are used to keeping you uncomfortable, or the thoughts that are used to keeping you unhappy, not letting them in anymore, really squashing them and saying, you're not true. What's true is my body is beautiful. What's true is my partner loves my body. I love my partner's body. You know what I mean? Like these things create the experience. What about you? What have your experiences been physically, or what have you done?
Physically. Well, physically, I have to say, sexually, it was really, I had a lot of walls. Like, I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. I had a lot of walls because of my dysphoria. There were some things that I would not allow, physically. I did not even want my partner to.
listeners, I apologize for that. It appears that Neo's line has dropped. Jody, do you want to go ahead and let's bring Marla in while we work to get Neo back on the phone?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Marla. How are you doing? I'd like to introduce you. Come on to the show here. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do or what your business is?
Am I on here?
Yeah, you're on.
Yes,
you're
Marla, you are live.
I'm sorry.
And we're really excited to have you and to find out about what you're doing in Atlanta and what are you the sex architect?
Yes, I've been branded the sex architect. The technical name for what I do is called somatic sex education and sexological bodywork. And I created different techniques that blend academic learning approaches, academic learning styles with somatic sex techniques to really teach people how to touch people and how to engage with people, how to communicate, how to really get in people's heads and understand them in a way that you previously probably haven't understood somebody before. So really just getting to all sorts of different connections, like you were talking about earlier, not only the mental connections, but the physical connections as well that help you with the mental connections and being able to be, emotionally, physically, spiritually satisfied in your sex life.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And do you have workshops that you do for this?
Yeah, yes, I do. Right now, I am actually restructuring and sort of revamping my business structure because I'm trying to grow my business. So this month and next month, I'm taking the time to do that. But in July, we're going to be starting off with some new workshops and parties that will be a whole lot of fun. And right now, if people wanted to join my email list, they could go to my website, which is www.velvetlipsllc.com. That's VELVETLIPSLLC.com. Or I also engage with a group for specific learning. We talk about different things, but it's a casual group, and we get together every month, and we're called the Sex Scholars, and that is it's a meetup.com group here in Atlanta, and we have a third Monday meet and greet where we'll discuss something, and there's different people who like to do different workshops and talk about different things, and we've just really sort of fostered, education with each other and get different ideas and, folks, like-minded folks who want to talk about sexuality. So it's a fun group. It's getting bigger and bigger every day. I think I have almost 400 people in the group.
Wow, that is amazing.
So
changing perspectives. God, that's incredible. And so it's velvetlipsllc.com. That's the website. Okay. And then the third Monday, you said?
Yeah, we have a third Monday meet and greet, but we also do video discussions where we kind of critique videos, or we have there's different things that go on, and generally I give the Sex Scholars discounts to my personal workshop.
Wow, that's wonderful. I wish I lived in Atlanta. I would totally come to that. Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic. I mean, this is really important work that you're doing. That's extremely important work because it helps people really embrace themselves completely and be healthier because it's about self-expression and healthy self-expression and being honest with what you want and what you like and really being proud, being completely open about who you are. And that's what one of the reasons we're here is to be who we are completely. So that really sounds fantastic.
Well, sorry, I had technical difficulties, but I'm glad that Marla, the sex architect, took over. And Marla, I am glad that you're on the line. And can you tell us, like, what's one thing that really you like to do as far as empowering people's sexuality? What's one thing that really drives you?
The one thing that really drives me personally is connecting the spirituality and sexuality. I feel that most people have separated the two and treat them separate when, in fact, they are just so closely interwoven that we hardly think about how they're connected, why it's such a powerful energetic source to, all sorts of things, from creation to, magnifying the potential of your goals or your power. So I would say that's the most passionate thing is really connecting spirituality and sexuality and really getting in touch with your spiritual side, because I feel like without that, sex can only be so shallow. And like you guys were talking about earlier, it's really about the connection. It's really about all those things.
It is. It's about the energy connection, and it's about being balanced when you're doing it. And that balance includes the absolute honesty and openness and being really, really, really comfortable and loving yourself and also the other person. So that's very important. So it's
exactly
really wonderful.
And actually, when you think about sex, it's the reason why I say it's one of the most controversial topic is because it's so misunderstood, and it's people separate their sexuality and their spirituality, where it should be, it should be together, especially, and we have some ancient religions that do it, that I'm not really familiar with all of them, but especially in Christianity, a lot of people in Christ-centered religions have been taught that sex is bad, and that's an issue that we've all had, those of us who've come from Christian backgrounds and who still are, and to me, I've had to teach myself that first, everything is energy, and if you understand God, you understand energy. No matter what your religion is, even if you go in science, even Einstein said everything is energy. Nothing exists except energy. Everything that we are, everything that we see, everything that we feel, whether it's emotions, whether it's spirituality, whether it's material things, and sex is one of the most powerful energy. I always like to talk about, like even the how you call it, the sexual transmutation, right? I've read a study that talks about salesmen. Some of the most successful salesmen have high sexual energy, because they are sexually connected to themselves, they are comfortable with their sexuality, and they succeed in other areas of their lives. Isn't that's I think that's interesting. I mean, have you ever heard of somebody say, this person needs to get laid, for example? It's offensive because they're in a bad mood, they need to get laid. It's very offensive, but it's the truth. I think there is some truth to that. It releases a lot of... Marla, can you say something about that? The energy, I guess the pheromones or whatever releases the toxins or whatever when you have sex?
Yeah.
I don't know better than that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of course, scientific evidence, that talks about hormones, of course, that are released when you're having sex, and one of those hormones is called oxytocin. And for both women and men, when you're having sex, the release of that oxytocin helps you not only for your own emotional well-being, but for that emotional connection, with that person, or with yourself, if you're masturbating. So it really helps you with that. And then as far as emotional connections, there's also different hormones that, help with staying monogamous, for example. There's certain hormones that are released when you do certain things. Or, of course, pheromones, are what, draw you to people. And pheromones are actually more so about immune systems and building stronger immune systems. And I actually just put out a article I just found about a week ago about sort of scientific explanations of different pheromones and what kind of pheromones you personally have that attract, males or females or whoever to you. So it's very, there's all this sort of science that's sort of backing up, queer identities and whatnot. So it's absolutely fascinating to me. There's all sorts of, wonderful things with the world.
Interesting.
And it also
what about
relates
Jody? How do you connect sexually and spiritually? How do you combine both for you in your own life?
Well,
Jody.
First, I admit how I feel, which is really important because what we were just talking about is the idea of health, and health and energy and all of this. And when we have repressed sexual feelings, they get stored in our body, you know what I mean? And they start building up. And it's scientific and it's metaphysical, it's all of this because it's energy and because thoughts are things. And there's no reason to separate the thoughts about sex because they're all part of our thought system. And so the way that I do that is I admit how I feel. And that, I think a tender topic sometimes in the community, the whole community, basically this community that we're in and is what's between our legs, and it's like, how do you want to use what's between your legs? And there's a lot of repression in that area. And the day
Oh, no, I was just saying, I think it's also about sort of trauma, and experiences with trauma and sexual trauma, first childhood sexual experiences, things like that, that what you say, those things are getting repressed, and what happens is it festers, right? Like it festers in your body and it comes out in all sorts of different ways. And you could, psychoanalyze yourself and really think about what is, how has this affected me, from the past. And once you start facing that and once you start talking about it, it releases it. And I think that's what you were talking about, Jody, is sort of when you release that, when you say, hey, this is making me uncomfortable, or there's, something wrong, you release that and you're able to sort of solve the problem faster or look at yourself deeper and, grow spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever. So
I need to release it with compassion, the compassion for yourself, because a lot of times it can be brought up in anger or be self-defensive, and you assume that your partner just understands when your partner has no idea what's going on. And so it's just about having that compassion when you bring it up, and not, if you're angry about it, don't direct the anger at the person. Say, you know what, I'm feeling angry about this, but this is not about you. This is about my experience, and I need to talk about it. And, essential oils, I have used tons of Young Living essential oil. That's the brand that I use, to help me release a lot of these things. And to answer your question, that's one of the things I do. So that it's very powerful when you release all of it, and then just you release it, just get rid of it. There's no reason to keep it around,
Yeah, that's actually a good. We could probably talk about that when we come back from break. I wanted to talk about how our souls connect when we have sex with somebody, as far as emotions and everything else we bring with us, as far as the trauma and everything that you two were talking about. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm not sure. I don't remember how long the breaks are. But when we come back, we can talk more about that. We can talk about sexual energy, soul ties, and everything else we know about creating and emotions and trauma and everything. So we're going to come back with Marla again, the sex architect of Atlanta, and Jody Rose, my good friend, which I'm very thankful for. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Mind, Body, Spirit with Mia and Jody. Today, we're featuring songs by Christopher Arniaga, who is a man of trance experience as well, and is based in California. You can find his music at Reverb Nation. It's reverbnation.com/Christopher August, which is ChristopherAugust. So the song that we featured today actually was Game of Love, and then also we're going to play a song called Drive. So we were just talking, Jody and I were talking about sex, and we also have Marla Renee Stewart on the line. Are you there, Marla?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. And Jody, are you still with us?
Oh, yeah. Here I am.
Awesome, yes. So we're talking about sex, and I know a lot of you guys are listening, and you want to hear a lot of exciting things. So I wanted to talk about sex energy, because this is a topic that I've always been fascinated about. I've always believed that our sexuality and our sex life can actually help us create things in this world. Just like lately we've been hearing things like it's not a new thing, but we've been hearing more and more about how our words create, our thoughts create, and I wanted to relate that to our sexuality. How can we connect with our partner so that we can all both at the same time be clean and on the same level emotionally, so that we can create things spiritually? For example, like things like like being on the same level emotionally, not letting our emotional baggages come in the way before we enter into that physical communion, I guess I would call it. What are your experiences with that? Jody, do you want to go first?
Oh yeah, there's something that you can do that it relates to the heart. So, because I work a lot with the heart, and I do a lot of heart energy work. And so what you can simply do, it's really easy. You can space your partner, and you can send heart energy from your heart into the other person's heart. So you have two people facing each other. You focus on the area around your heart, and you think about your heart. You can imagine breath going in through your heart and out through your heart. And when you imagine that breath going in through your heart as if your heart were your lungs, what you're doing is you're creating a quick type of balance in your body with your heart. And when you're in that space, you can add feelings of compassion for your partner. So you breathe in through your heart and out through your heart, okay, which is easy to do. You just focus and do that, breathing in and out. And then you just think about why you're grateful for your partner, or add some compassionate thoughts for your partner, something about your partner, or a loving type of care. And then you imagine your heart energy being sent to your partner's heart. And it is really powerful. It is absolutely the most powerful thing that you can do before you are intimate with someone.
I've heard something like that. I've heard something like, how do you call it, eye gazing, where you're soul gazing, where you look into your partner's eyes and you actually project your intention together so that you can not just be connected physically but also emotionally and spiritually. Is that something similar that you are talking about?
Well, yeah, because the heart is the most powerful, electromagnetic organ in your body, and it has a energy of 10 feet in front of you, and 360 degrees around you. It's actually probably more than 10 feet, but that's the extent of the research that they can do at this point. But basically, when you do that, it transcends all of it because you're going into the heart. You're going into each other's hearts, which is where the truth is. You're getting out of your mind. When you go into your heart, your mind is not around there anymore. You're really in your heart. You're really in your heart space. And this is something that I've taught couples. I mean, it's an amazing technique to use. It really is. I encourage you to see if it's something for you, if it's something that you would want to do. It really, and then when you're intimate, it's like your heart energies are being intimate too. It's beautiful. So yeah. So
what about you, Marla? What do you have to say on this topic?
As far as energy?
Yeah, energy, emotions, connection, creation, all that stuff, like spiritual stuff.
I think you should always put it into practice. I feel like, sometimes there are times when we just want to get off, and then there are certain times where we want to really have, meaningful emotional connections. And I think there's validity to both of those things. And so I believe in fostering that energy and really doing that energy consistently, talking with your partner and, developing what I call, your sexual relationship identity together, and discussing, hey, let's do some meditating, let's do some soul gazing, or before we, make love or have sex, let's, pray together, or let's, whatever the case may be, just really engaging with your partner on a spiritual level consistently, and really fostering that connection. So.
Oh yeah, that's very smart. The consistency and the sustainability is really important. Marla, did you, was there a question or two that you had? Because I know that you're doing some workshops and you might want to do something for the F2M community. Things like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, especially, both of you have, tremendous amount of knowledge, of course, in this area with you, Jody, with the FTM Sex Guide. I'm so fascinated and would love to get my hands on a copy. And with Neo, he has some really good insight on just, the mental, emotional, energy awareness of all that stuff. I'm wondering, is there something, because I really have been trying to, get to different communities, and I'm wondering, is there a specific, sexual technique that, you would possibly recommend to, the FTM community, or is there a specific, sexual technique that would, you could incorporate into a workshop that would be beneficial, for the community? I'm just kind of curious, as to
I'm gonna let Jody answer this one for many reasons.
Okay. Yeah. But I have a lot of answers for this one.
before I let him answer that, it's really interesting. I wanna mention this just to everybody listening, that also when connecting to your partner, that sex, Marla mentioned something that's important as far as the connecting consistently spiritually together, because sex is connection. Sex is not just in the bedroom; it's also anywhere. Just it's amazing to me how a lot of time people don't even touch each other, or they don't touch their partner. They forget to touch each other, even when you're going to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Just touching your partner helps you connect to each other. But definitely the part about praying together, but also praying for each other, is very important. It's really amazing how many people go pray for the partner when things are going bad, and not when things are going well. So I think that's very important. So now, as far as the technique on how to do things, I'm going to let Jody answer that.
Yeah, I was just, about the praying, when something's going wrong or something like that, or not good. It's once again back to the idea of balance, and, the idea of creating resilience. To be resilient, we must create balance. This is really, really, really important. So I just wanted to throw that in. As far as the technique, well, let me just say that at the FTM Fitness Conference in Atlanta, I am going to give a blowjob workshop, an FTM blowjob workshop. So let me just put that out there, because that's one thing that's really, really important, because it's going to be pretty damn amazing. Let me just tell you, I think it's the first. It might very well be the first of its kind, and I'm like, this is like no holds barred, because it's really important that we share this information with our community now, So, okay, so the specific sexual technique, the very first thing, which maybe, a lot of people might know already, is very simple, actually. And once I discovered this, I was like, oh, my God, how did I not know about this? Pillows. So, the pillows, like the absolute, oh, my God, go to Sears or go to Russ and, spend $30 on pillows. It'll be the best $30 you ever spent. And make sure you might experiment with different types of pillows, different sizes of pillows. But the pillows, oh, my God.
Wait, what do you do with the pillows, Jody?
Well, basically, you put the pillows down, and you can. This is for the missionary style, but actually, it also works for the doggy style. It can work for almost any position, but for the missionary style is fantastic, because because I have a partner that it's a monogamous thing here, and so you have you would basically, she would get on the pillow, and it gives height. And so for guys, like us, and even for genetic men who have smaller penises, this would work for those guys too. I mean, not separating here. Let's just simply say it's a question of physics or something. So it just feels better. It goes in more. It feels, you can put the hands underneath the shoulders, and so the pillows really help a lot. And the other question about the workshops for the FTM community, I would say, Marla, that it might be good to create a Facebook page and to get insight from a lot of different guys on what they would want in a workshop. I mean, like there's so many different things to cover. It can be, there's multiple branches for workshops for F to M guys. I mean, there's simply a workshop that can just be called like the cock workshop, and it can all be about, sex toys for our cocks, our bodies, and it can include some working out of working it out or growing it, how to grow it naturally. And one of the reasons I created that cock workout is because I didn't want to get the bottom surgery, and I was getting so many emails from guys who didn't want to get the bottom surgery too, asking if I knew anything about growth besides pumping. And so because I get so many of these emails, so I decided to, do more research, even more research on it, because I teach research methods, so I love research. So for the workshops, if you did something like that, you could do your own research and find out from so many different guys, because I don't know, I only know what I would want, which probably would be things about healthy body, mind, soul, because when you transition, a lot of times what happens is we're focused so much on our body, we get imbalanced, and we don't think about our mind, and we don't think about our soul, and we don't balance everything out because we're like, oh, is my cock growing? Oh, my God, I need this. So did I get more facial hair? Did I do this? Did I do that? And it becomes so obsessive. Okay, I'm totally guilty of that myself, So it's like a workshop on wholeness, on being whole as you transition, things like that.
Definitely. I actually did I just recently did a workshop on finding the one in Dallas, and I guess a lot of guys were expecting me to talk about techniques physically, but the first step before anything is definitely is to remind yourself who you are first, to find yourself from the inside out, and then you'll be able to find a partner that matches you, because one of the things that I notice is a lot of people are looking for partners, and then they realize that they were just in a relationship because of the sex. The sex was great, but they have nothing else in common, and they lose the rapport, they lose the connection afterward, because, when you are in a monogamous relationship, you really have to not only be creative sexually, but also have values on things that you're looking for in a relationship, which are just beyond sex, because if it's just that, it's empty otherwise, So
you're completely right on that, and it's being open in all aspects with somebody and not focusing only. And the testosterone, the reason I chimed in is because the testosterone seems a lot of times to want to take over in the sex department in the beginning, the second puberty, or just feeling oversexed. And a lot of that sexual tension and energy sometimes is repressed, or a lot of that energy and sexual tension is ignored because you might be embarrassed because of it. You know what I mean? And these types of things, loving yourself, loving your body, loving who you are, and not being defining yourself based on everybody else's experiences, because you are your own unique experience. You don't define by anybody else. Just you can learn, you can grow from looking outside of yourself, of course, but within is where you find all the answers to everything. And then being confident and happy enough, loving yourself enough to share that within with someone else's within, and accepting that, accepting all of it all together. If you want to use, if you call it a pussy, if you call it a vagina, if you call it a hole, whatever the heck you call it, who cares? Just be loving it. Just send love to it and love it. That's what I say. So.
Exactly, and that's one of the best things that I've done for myself, actually, before I get back into a relationship was, I did a 90-day spiritual journey. And during that 90-day spiritual journey, I was celibate for a reason, on purpose, because I was tired of going from date to date, from physical to physical, from, emptiness to emptiness without really finding substance in the woman that I was looking for. So that really helped me not only finding myself. I mean, it was not easy. I'm not going to lie, because it was at the time of the peak of my my sex drive, but it was definitely a sacrifice worth making, because everything after that clicked, and everything after that was worth it. Just finding my partner and all the blessings in my life, using that sexual energy and the sexual desires and transmute it into other things, like growing my business or being creative or all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That really opened up not only my mind to how blind we can be when we just give in to the physical, but it also just helped me just self-control too, It helped me with self-control and knowing that I own my body, even though, because a lot of people go with, it's always, my sex drive, it's the testosterone, it's this and it's that. And that's unfortunately also a reason that many people use to say, the testosterone changed my sexual orientation. And I know that's a long topic, but to me, it's just be yourself, own it, and it's okay if you're comfortable having sex with a man or a woman, but using the excuse of testosterone changing your sexual orientation simply because you are more sexually comfortable with yourself. I can't speak for anybody else, but to me, my experience, it's just the fact that you're more open with your sexuality. You know what I mean? What do you think about that, as far as people saying that testosterone changed their sexual orientation?
I say take responsibility for all of it. Take responsibility for all of it. Keep working on yourself. Like these transitions that we go through, they are very, very, very warrior-like. And so it's like, as a warrior in this, yes, the testosterone can make my cock hard, like when I'm at the gym, but I don't have to go come, you know what I mean? And I don't have to say, oh no, the testosterone did it again, blame it on the testosterone, blame it on the testosterone. I'm not going to do that. You must take responsibility for your spiritual, your mind, your body, all of this, your mind, body, spirit, and the way that you do that is by acknowledging what is true. Really what is true. Really acknowledge the truth. One of the things that I had to do when I was, younger is acknowledge the fact that, yes, I do want to use a dildo. And you know what? It feels good. And you know what? Who cares? It's
right.
And here's another thing. I don't want to sleep with a genetic man, but I want to use a dildo. Okay? God, it's the thing about it is that I love every part of me now. I love my pussy. I love my cock. There you go. And that's what it's all about, loving yourself. And so when you take responsibility and you don't say it's the testosterone causing me to be, somewhat feeling like I'm in heat all the time. No, how about you research how to release that sexual energy instead? You can release sexual energy also in other ways if you want. So, that's... This whole thing really
part of it,
yourself.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Marla.
I was wondering, Jody, how did you get to that point, or, was there ever a time where you felt that you weren't comfortable, with your genitals, and you strayed away from, maybe not having other people touch you in certain ways? How did you become comfortable, all the way comfortable with yourself? What steps did you take to do that?
Well, the first thing that I did was realize that everything that I was thinking was not my own thoughts. They were not my own thoughts. They were thoughts created by everything else around me ever since I was young. And that was the first step, and that was really hard, because when you realize that, you're just like, oh, my God, who am I? What am I doing? What do I really believe? And then from there, you start saying, okay, I'm creating my own way of being here. I'm creating my own life here. I'm creating my own way. And for me, that was the first step. And then the next step was, simply if I went back into the canned societal condition of, oh, you have a pussy, what are you doing? You need to get, blah, blah, blah. How come you're using a dildo? You're a guy. If I went back into that canned thinking, I had to be aware of it, have compassion for those thoughts, and say, Jody, that's not true. You're a guy, and you have a pussy. You were born this way. You don't get the bottom surgery. That's your decision. And so this is who you are. This is who you are. And so it's, for me, and then, of course, being with someone who understands that as well, and being with someone, because when you're with someone, it's their energy that you're around. You're in their energy. And if the person's energy is thinking, how come he's using his pussy? You know what I mean? You're going to get that energy. You're going to get that energy. And it's like, so that's a big part of it, too. And then just surrounding myself with people who are supportive, that's another big part of it. I don't have time for the people who are negative. I don't have time for that anymore. No more. And so, and then it all starts from there. It really does. And then as you're doing it, love while you're doing it. Like if I'm using the dildo in my pussy, I'll love it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like don't be ashamed of it. Don't hide it. So,
that's very important, because sometimes people get into relationships and do not communicate that. Do not communicate expectations. Do not communicate, what they're comfortable with sexually. And so I think the communication around that, and also just as you get comfortable with each other, being able to be honest, and say, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, because I've heard a lot of stories about people lying about what they're not comfortable with or what they are comfortable with, and then changing it and getting criticized or getting self-conscious about it. But anyway, unfortunately, this is the end of the show today. It went by fast,
well, I was just
and
informed
I wish...
an executive decision. The show's going to be extended for 20 minutes. So let's keep going, because we're on a roll here, folks.
I heard the news. Apparently, we're going on for another 20 minutes, which is great, because we are still going to have a part 2 of this, right? Are we still going to do that, Marla?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to have part 2 of the show in June, but we can keep going. Because this is interesting, and we were just talking. What were we talking about, Jody? Help me out.
We were talking about not hiding and being proud of who we are and proud. One of my best friends in this world is Buck Angel, and I love that man like my brother. And he is a warrior, one of the strongest people I have ever known in my entire life, and I just respect him so much. And he is one of those people. He is who he is, and that's it. And do you know how many people are just so inspired by him and his story? His new documentary, Mr. Angel, that is an amazing movie. Oh, my God, is that an amazing movie. And the thing is, it is time now. It is a new day. It's a new, quote-unquote, normal. And it is time for us to love our bodies, who we are, what we want to do, what kind of toys we want to use. If we don't want to use toys, we could get the bottom surgery, not get the bottom surgery. Who cares? Just do what you want that makes you feel comfortable inside, and that's about self-love, right?
Exactly.
Yes, definitely.
Exactly. And it's also just being open. It's very dangerous to play the hypocrisy game. As we transition, I feel like we are at the bottom, of society. Like it's of the LGB, we are still under. The T is still finally getting to be seen and to be known. And the worst thing we can do about our community is to be hypocritical, and be and also not just hypocritical, but also put boundaries again. Like, oh, what do you mean you want to have a baby? You're a man. Or what do you mean you call it a vagina? You can't do that. And we have to be careful about transphobia in the trans community, but also even homophobia. especially to me, in my experience, I can say that in the Black trans community, we unfortunately have seen a lot of guys becoming very transphobic around the issue, not just transphobic, but also homophobic around the issue of trans men dating other trans men. I think it's very important that we don't create walls. We don't have enough space to move in already, so creating walls is only going to make it worse for us. We need to really be accepting of all kinds of diversity within our diversity.
Yes, we really, and that whole topic of sexuality and gender identity, oh my goodness, what a topic that is. The whole idea of that it can be lumped together, and how it's separate, and we change who we want to date. Who cares? We date who we want to date, and that is it. Because we come into this transition already constructed with all of our other belief systems. And so when we merge this, we have such a responsibility to work on ourselves spiritually. It is absolutely a requirement for a healthy transition to work on yourself spiritually. Because not only have you come in with all this other stuff, but now you have transitioned your gender. I mean, it's just really necessary that we all accept each other because we have so much work to do individually. We need the support of everyone else while we do this work.
Exactly.
Yes, I think it's important.
Hey, Jody, we have a caller's question. Somebody was wondering where they can buy where they can find your videos about the workouts, the cock workout.
Well, why don't we post it on the F2M Fitness World website this week? You want to do that? Okay. Because we partner, you and I are partners, so we'll post it on the F2M website this week, and maybe we'll even give away some free copies for registrant, people. We're going to have some specials for the conference.
Okay.
And, we might have...
I know that the FTM Sex Guide can be already found on shop.ftmfitnessworld.com. You can buy the FTM Sex Guide, but if you're looking for the cock workouts videos, that will be coming up. We'll put. Also, I know Jody and I are planning on making a lot of other videos just related to mind, body, and spirits. We just created a YouTube channel. We haven't put anything on it yet, but it's going to be coming up.
We're going to have the YouTube channel. And then I think there's a question about the heart connection or additional exercises for doing heart connections. The heart, okay, so one of the things that you can do with the heart is there's a first step, and that is actually focusing your attention on your heart. Many people don't do that. So sometimes you might want to put your hand over your heart. This is my heart. I love my heart. I'm grateful for my heart. The heart is the first organ to develop, and nobody can prove how the heart develops. And it's very powerful. I believe your soul is in your heart. So with that said, one thing that you can do is you focus on the area around your heart. You imagine breath, okay? So you breathe in through your heart and out through your heart. In through your heart and out through your heart. Right there, you'll feel a shift. And if you do that and you listen, it's called heart listening to your partner, that's another heart exercise that you can do. You're listening from your heart. You're not listening from your mind. Listening from your heart means you really are listening. You're hearing the essence of what the person is saying. You're not trying to interrupt. You're not trying to, you're not judging. Because when you're truly in a heart space, you are truly listening from the heart. And when you're doing that, especially if you do that before intimacy, you can do it if you're in a little bit of an argument. These kinds of heart exercises help remind us why we're together. They help us, they remind us to have compassion for each other. They remind us to get out of the ego mind. They remind us to do that. And so it starts with breathing in through your heart and out through your heart. And the second, you can have another step there which is as you're breathing in through your heart and out through your heart, you can add a positive moment about the person in your mind, or a positive memory you have about the person. You know what I'm saying? And I will teach. I will talk about this at the FTM Fitness Conference, because I plan on definitely talking about the heart. That's what I talk about. So, but because it's changed my life and so many other people's lives, I've seen it change throughout the years. It's very powerful work, and you can always, if you're listening and you're listening about the heart, you can always research as well heart exercises, lovers' heart exercises, how to link our hearts together, things like that. But it is all about energy in the end, and it is all about going into that heart space. So
yeah, there's a couple of exercises I do for that. It's and it's sort of similar to what you were talking about, and it's really about connecting, thinking about the first time you met, and really going over that story in detail. And I think that would totally help with the heart exercise, sort of like you were explaining before about the positive moment.
Absolutely. You're reliving that
really
yourself.
It's so connected to a lot of things. Like I've heard of, I'm not sure if you've heard of prana, which in Christianity is the Sacred Heart. But every religion has a name for it. I think prana is in Sanskrit, I think it's called, but which is pretty much the same thing. The Sacred Heart, which is a part, not just a physical aspect of us, but it's the part in our heart where we connect to energy, where we connect to God, we connect to Source, we connect to people or to animals or to things around us. That's very important. Like just researching how to reconnect with your heart, because a lot of people are stuck in the mind, are stuck in the logic. Even in relationship, a lot of things, even conflict. A lot of conflict that we deal with are emotional, because people don't realize that we are emotional beings first, and when we let that take over, we make all of our decisions based on emotions, and that means we make decisions based on how we were conditioned, or how we were hurt in the past, or our own experiences on how we've experienced the world. The way I've experienced the world is not necessarily the way my partner experienced the world, is not necessarily the way you experienced the world. So when we argue about things based on my truth is better than your truth, or you've hurt me and the person doesn't see where they hurt you, that's where the disconnect usually comes from, is when we don't learn. Another workshop that I do, that I will also be doing in Philly and at Gender Odyssey in Seattle, is about emotional intelligence, on how we can assess our own emotions and the emotions of our partner and the emotional people around us. Because most arguments, 99% of arguments, not just with our partner, are because we have not assessed our emotional intelligence. We're making decisions based on our emotions instead of our hearts. We are coming from logical and from fear and from prove me that you love me and from all this stuff, instead of from the heart, where it's I want to love you. It's a sacrifice. It's instead of giving, we want to take, and so unfortunately that's the end of the show. Anyways, I think that was a 20 minutes were up, but I really, really enjoyed this. And yes, we are going to have part 2 of this show, because this was really good. And I'm thankful that Marla is going to be coming back. Our next show will be on June 8th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll continue part 2 of sex. I want to thank the sponsors. Our sponsors for today, I'm going to let Anise come back and introduce the sponsors. But first, I want to encourage you guys to check out FTM Fitness World. The conference is FTM Fitness World, FTMFitnessConference.com. If you really want to come there and learn more about just everything we've been talking about and more, fitness, nutrition, wellness, spirituality, sexuality, and finances, because one of the topics that we'll be talking about in the future will be money. So just go to the website. We're also going to have, yes, I was going to mention that we're going to have a speed dating, a dating mixer, and this would be great whether you're in a relationship or not. I'm still debating on if we even want to provide drinks for that, because I think it would be great to even provide the drinks for that so that people don't have to buy their own. We'll talk about that. But anyway, tune in next week. Jody, do you want to say anything before I let Anise take over?
Yeah, I just want to say that all the questions that we have, all the answers to those questions are found within our hearts, and that is extremely important to remember. It relates to every single thing we've talked about, and I'm extremely excited to talk next week for our show Sex Part 2, which is going to be even more exciting, or just as exciting, probably more than this show that we just did. So thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Okay, great. And, yes, I forgot to mention about the bodybuilding competition. We're still looking for competitors. If you think you have what it takes, go to the website and register. Marla, before we close up, why don't you tell us a little bit more again about your business and your website and how people can reach you?
Yes, well, I do sexuality education workshops. So the name of my company is Velvet Lips, LLC, and you can sign up for my email list, velvetlipsllc.com, and I come out with, weekly blog tips and everything. But also, I just wanted to say I'm really excited about this FTM Fitness Conference, and I totally just got an idea to do a workshop on how to seduce a trans man, and so I think that would be very a fun workshop to do. So hopefully we can talk about that next time.
That's fantastic.
Well, that means we also need to promote this to non-trans folks or people who want to date a trans man, because apparently we are it these days. People want to date trans men.
Yes, we actually are.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much again, and I am going to let Anise close us.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Neo and Jody and Marla. Oh my gosh, I love this show. Usually when I'm running Switchboard, I'm doing a lot of different things, but you guys had my undivided attention. Well, number one, because the topic was sex, and I love sex. But number two, it was so informative and just amazing. And guys, we cannot have amazing shows like this without our sponsors. So to Kappa Omega Omicron for paying for our airtime for the entire year, thank you. To my partner, the co-owner of Les Mystery Box, which is an online sex toy store. Thank you for tuning in, and, as Benny is trying to figure out how to make Les Mystery Box even more trans-inclusive. I mean, this show just crossed so many different boundaries, and just thank you for the information. So we are going to close out today with the song Drive. Is it Christopher August, Neo?
Yes, it's Christopher August, and Christopher is spelled Christopher, and August.
All right. So we are going to close out with that, and check Neo out on FTM Fitness World or on the Back to Us Radio fan page. And remember, Marla has the Meetup group on meetup.com. Also, Velvet Lips LLC. Is it .org, Marla?
.com.
.com. Okay. I don't know why I want to make you .org. .com. Check out her workshops. Marla is the sex architect of Atlanta. Nobody does sex like Marla. So please support Marla, support Neo with FTM Fitness World, support Jody with the new release of the book, and we are out of here, guys. Happy Mother's Day, everyone, to all the moms.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day.
You make it hard, I just can't leave. You pretend you don't want it, but I see how you react to me. Let's slow it down, come closer, let me in. I know you're not shy, this could be the sweetest thing. It's far too late, I lost control. Your fear of pain makes you hard to hold. You make it hard when you put up a fight. We're in for a ride, baby, hold on tight. My hands on your waistline, holding you tight, you moving right tonight. Feel your body up against mine. Light the fire burning inside. I'm not letting you go. I'll be the place you can hide. Baby, let the music drive. Don't need to fight it. Give in and grab a hold of me. Do you know what we started? I'll take you places where you're free. I just don't fall for everyone I see. This burden for you gives me everything I need. I like to work when it's